here again, because to be honest, nothing seems to be happening. So the Environment Agency have done an inspection where basically they said there isn't a rodent problem, and they're not doing anything illegal. So we're assuming that the Environment Agency must have sent a very slightly blind, blinkered, short-sighted member of staff to look at it. So they're currently running on a E10 and an S1 exemption. Now I've done a bit of looking into this, which basically sort of minorly through the Environment Agency gives you carte blanche to dump a load of rubbish on your land. I don't think most of us would get one of those. So we still have all the paint, all the gas cylinders, no one's even looked at them. They have attempted trimming some of the brambles off, and they did come the other day, start tidying up, then completely give up. So we're assuming that what we're going to have to do is beat a bit harder, because at the moment no one seems to be able to do anything because the Environment Agency aren't going to act, and apparently this is all fine. So we're going to go for a quick look round, and then I'm going to go and talk about what an E10 exemption is, and what an S1 exemption is, and how we've actually broken all of its terms and conditions for the last 3 years. But apparently if you're in the Environment Agency, you didn't do that, and you'll be absolutely fine. Crack on with it. So what we thought, sorry about the wind, it's a bit windy down here today, is we'd discuss the exemptions that they seem to be getting away with running this under. So it's a T10 and an S1, not an E10. Me just gone check me bits of paperwork. So basically a T10 exemption is designed for small charities, mainly charities, to sort incoming technical waste products. I'm assuming like charity shops. So basically in a T10 you cannot shred or bale your waste. The main one is you cannot deal with illegal mixed waste, so with mixed waste that aren't on the list, which would be, so you can't deal with on your T10 exemption food waste stirred in with all your other waste. That's not allowed. And then S1 exemptions. So an S1, main one on an S1 is that your bins are securely stored and secure. I'll just demonstrate. So if we were talking secure site fencing, I'm 16 and a half stone, and I'll just walk through this secure site fence, and there's no fence around the outside of it. And then if we were talking that this securely stored waste meant securely stored bins, the bins would need to be securely closed and obviously liquid and stuff tight, which meant if you'd left a load of big holes in the bottom of them for 3 years and ignored everyone and lied about it, that wouldn't be very secure now, would it? Also, there are certain exemptions that allow waste of this nature to be stored for up to a year. So most of the abandoned refuse tanks, paint tins, gas bottles, the gas bottles have been here since at least 2012. Now, I ain't no mathematician, but that's definitely over a year, isn't it? So I have my piece of paper in here with me pinpoints on it, obviously, because a man. So, as part of an S1, you can't treat waste. That's fine. There's none of that going on here. You can't store waste for disposal in the landfill. So all that food waste that's in them bins over there, with all the black crap and the plastic bags and the bin bags mixed in with it, you'd be storing waste for disposal, wouldn't you, in a landfill and not recycling. You can't store mixed waste as part of your S1 exemption. So the bins full of bottles, food waste, plastic wrappers, more food waste and stuff, yeah, that'd be against your S1 exemption. And you can't mix hazardous and non-hazardous products. Well, one would assume that a big wooden open crate full of paint, probably not terribly hazardous, and then a load of chemicals chucked in with it that say hazardous, would mean that you were mixing hazardous and non-hazardous waste and also storing it for over a year, because they've been there for ages. So I'm not an environment agency person, and I've spent about an hour reading the exemptions. And so I think we can confidently say that Weld Estate, Lulworth, have pretty much broken every part of those exemptions. And according to the Environment Agency, these exemptions are removable from you. Nothing going on here. Nothing. I mean, honestly. So we are wandering around on obviously a fairly cold, wet. Now, obviously we have the recycling bins, which have got cardboard and stuff in. Now, this is supposed to be purely, what's supposed to be in there? Paper, plastic, tubs, trays, tin cans. I mean, there's all sort of a mixture of nastiness in there. But it's these. So these, as you can see on the front of them, say business waste. Yep. So business waste is not recycling. So business waste should go direct to landfill according to your exemptions. So if we look in this juicy lovely one, see all the mixture of stuff. So that's a bleach container, there's some Costa and some food in there, and they're all full of black bags. So in theory, according to this is not allowed on your exemption unless you've got an exemption on your exemption on your exemption. That's a caravan window, isn't it? That this is not allowed to be stored in multitudes and should go straight from where it is produced, there it is, straight to landfill. Or whatever. It's not you're not allowed to do that on your S1 or your because that is mixed refuse or your T10 exemption. See, still got lots of juiciness, didn't clear that up. Juiciness is coming on a bit more down there. And basically, we have tried, the guys from the council did try to put some bungs back in, but as you can see, that didn't work. And I mean, the other thing that one had considered is, if you're the poor staff that have to drag these things in and out of here, that I'm going to go and wash my hands in my folks' house next door. But if you're hopping in and outside of a van, the possibility of Wales disease coming out of this place, because I don't think any of these bins have been cleaned in the entire time I've known them. There is no facility here, because I think, right, so you find me back home, sat in my kitchen. And I had an interesting development earlier, which I'll just have to drop in here, over the gas bottles. So when the environmental health lady turned up to inspect on Friday, someone we obviously failed to show her them. So that's all the ones you'll see lying in the nettles there, or in the brambles. So obviously we went back to our local councillor and back to the environmental health and said, oi, what about these gas cylinders? And then our local councillor showed the environmental health lady, said a bit of video footage of all these gas cylinders dumped in the nettles. And which she said, obviously, that's not acceptable. And went back to Guy.Clatworthy, Clatworthy, from Weld Estate, emailed him to say, oi. To the reply coming back to, yes, well, someone illegally fly tipped them there years ago. So I'm going to go back to because funnily enough, having lived there for many, many years, I do remember the illegal fly tippers. I might happen to have been stood there, obviously our side of the boundary, when they were unloading them, load after load after load. So I was thinking that obviously I could help sort this illegal fly tipping activity that happened back then with the next bit of oncoming video footage. We'll just go past the fly tipping site. So this is Guy.Clatworthy, that's the estate manager. He said apparently that someone illegally fly tipped all these gas bottles in here, and they didn't know anything about that. So when those Lulworth transits dropped them off 10 years ago, they were obviously masked illegal Lulworth transits fly tipping. They didn't know they were there. Honestly. Right. So what we have here, I'll stick a copy of this at the end so you can read it. This is the Environment Agency report from an inspection last Thursday morning between 10 o'clock and 10:45. Basically carried out by a Mr. Simon Fairholm. So it would appear that on this piece of paper we have an S2 exemption, not an S1 exemption, and not a T10. There is no mention of a T10, but that was in some other paperwork that I've got from the council. Anyway, so we've had to do a bit more Googling. So basically, things you are not allowed to do on an S2 exemption. So, types of activity you cannot carry out. Treat waste, fine, that's the first one. Second one, store waste destined to be disposed of. So that would mean store business waste that was going to landfill. That would be those business waste bins, loads of them. So that might be, unless there's an exemption for an exemption for an exemption. Mix hazardous with non-hazardous waste again. Yeah, perhaps there's another exemption for that. So then we go back, obviously, to his report. I shall move it. So, right, the following waste codes were assessed against an S2 waste examination. So that's that West S2 exemption. So, C&D codes, 3 tons of clean material. So I'm assuming clean material will be like building waste. I don't know. It could be cardboard or it could be glass bottles. 2 small bins, 50 kilograms compliant. Well, that's fine. I mean, yes, I'm sure that they're not too offensive. There were like 30 of the things during the summer full of bottles, but that's just. Mattresses. So the mattresses, 4 in total, that got thrown in the middle of the yard last week on the floor. Photographing now. They're now in a skip, so that's compliant. That's fine, and it says there's a 5-ton limit of mattresses. I'm assuming, I don't know. So, but my favourite one. Paint codes. So, small pile of empty paint tins, compliant. And if you read the other attachment, says that it apparently, according to councillor lady, stored in a non-permeable container, all empty, I think totaling like less than 10, well, apparently on here, all compliant, 10,000 litre limit. So they're not empty. I'll put a photograph in there. They're all half full, and they're not stored in a non-permeable container, unless wooden pallet boxes with big holes in them have become more store like non-liquid leaking out containers. And then, so then we go on to scrap metal codes, 4 tons combined scrap metal in a skip. Apparently that's compliant. Fine, if it has to be. Tyre codes, 40 tyres, chucked on the floor, compliant. So we can have 40 tons of tyres before it's an issue. Good. Now, WE codes, so white electrical appliance, whatever. So basically, fridges, white electrical goods. 5 items compliant, and apparently, according to the extension to this, stored on a non-permeable surface, so onto concrete. I'll just put the photograph in now. So there's not 45 minutes ago I carried 10 fridges, 5 washing machines, and they're all lying in the dirt on the edge of a wood, not on a concrete surface. So I can't see any mention on this report at all of the big juicy bin waste, commercial waste bins. Syndicates, no, I can't see that on there. So we can only judge by this that we may have some site issues. I mean, there's possibility. Well, there is. The trouble is that I happen to be stood there waiting for a nice reporter from the BBC Radio Solent at the same time, 10 o'clock Thursday morning, that this man was inspecting. So I have got a photograph of him and the World Estate Health and Safety man stood yattering by a big pallet full of leaking paint tins that's not watertight. Make your own assumptions. So we shall fight on. South Today tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock. Been on the radio today. Made the Daily Mail, the Dorset Echo, the Bournemouth Echo, and a few other things. So we're doing quite well, people. I have chucked a load more email links in the description, but we don't seem to be getting very far, because I have a feeling someone's trying to pull a fast one. Not that I would obviously be making any aspersions. So I'm going to leave this one here, and then we're going to do another video later in the week to see if anything else happens. Because they're obviously going to go and have to clear up all their gas cylinders that they accidentally illegally fly tipped on themselves. I mean, honestly, they just haven't got the hang of this, have they? Really? Thank you very much. Out. 60 diesel.